It's just here.
Once I make my move, the Queen will take me.
They're buff, but nothing too much.
Oh no.
If we submit the same thing, it won't work.
They have very haunted cemetery. They're all behind us. And we're by the entrance. We didn't even go very far in. Guys, I am kicking my little feet right now. I'm so excited.
Largest. The greatest mystery project. It's very eager to get a closer look at this amazing set. So I'll give you a few moments to explore and see then.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do a speed run history round because one, it's late. I just got back from Back to the Future. Yes, I saw Back to the Future again. That's the third time I've seen it. No, I will not be taking any questions. Okay, so we're gonna be doing the Windsor period. So anything since the end of the Victorian era. So Queen Victoria passes away in 1901 and we enter into the Windsor era, which is mostly Queen Elizabeth II. Her father was before her for a little bit. You know, modern day. So what am I gonna be talking about? What on earth could I be talking about? I'm gonna talk about Harry Potter because let's be so real. I was gonna talk about Harry Potter. I wanted to talk about Harry Potter. Okay, Harry Potter, how it relates to my topic of celebratory performances in comedy. One, you've got your classic comic reliefs within the story of Harry Potter. Fred and George Weasley are your classic pranksters. The Marauders are also sort of comic relief, more in fandom than in the actual stories, but you know, Sirius Black and Remus Lupin do have some zingers. You also have Ron Weasley, an icon. Love him, he's so funny. He's your more direct comic relief before Fred and George become larger characters in the later books. He's the funny one in books like 1 through 3, and then Fred and George become larger players. Harry Potter as a character, they call him Sassy Harry, like in the fandom, because he's got absolute zingers. One that comes to mind is, I believe, in the 6th Harry Potter book, in Defense Against the Dark Arts class, he is talking to Snape, who's his Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't read the 6th book. Snape is getting angry at him. Harry does a retort. I don't remember what the line is, but he's like, yeah, of course, I'll do. Right, he says something, and he's like, yeah, sure. And then Professor Snape says, sir. And then Harry says, no need to call me sir, Professor. So with one-liners like that, Harry Potter as a character, absolute icon. I'm gonna try and find more. Maybe they'll roll on the screen now. But again, late night for me. I'm running on Dayquil, and I just watched Back to the Future, so here we go. Harry Potter in the public eye has a lot to do with marketing. You've got an author writing these books. I believe she wrote 4 books and then got a movie deal. The way that the genius of the marketing of the Harry Potter team was that as many of the books were written, I think 4 were written before the first one came out. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the movie gets released around the same time as the 4th book. I will correct myself here. You have these movies hitting the big screen and people going, oh my gosh, what are those? So if people weren't already reading the books, now they're reading the books. Now they're picking up the books. They want to know more lore. And so you've got this dual media marketing campaign, and then you have there's midnight releases of these books. And also you can see that they get more popular and how J.K. Rowling gains more traction as an author and becomes more respected. Because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, obviously. Not a J.K. Rowling fan, though. We do not stand J.K. Rowling. In the 5th book, I don't know if you've read the 5th book. It's the longest book, but it's the shortest movie. You want to know why that is? That's because there's about 200 pages at the very beginning of the book where they're at Grimmauld Place, and they're not really doing anything. They're like cleaning the house for 200 pages. You can tell that this is when J.K. Rowling started getting traction as a respected world creator, because her editors became afraid to say no to her. Because if someone else who didn't have the traction she had wrote 200 pages of what was boring, my opinions, obviously. Also, the opinions of the movie creators, because it's the shortest movie. And you would think if all of that was necessary for the plot, it would all be in the movie, but I digress. That if her editors were saying no to her, they would have cut that out. They would have told her no, the book would have been shorter. So you see that, I'm doing this so fast, I could talk about this for hours, so I'm sorry if this sort of doesn't make sense. Hopefully I can edit it in. I went to the making of Harry Potter, which is the studio lots where they built the sets for Harry Potter, and kind of out on the outskirts of London.
Guys, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's silly, but it makes me happy. Look at it. It's just here.
And in that, there's a clip of J.K. Rowling saying that the attention they were getting for these books and these movies was almost Beatles level. She was like, no one expected the fans to show up at like this. No one expected the popularity to be this insane and this mass of people. But the marketing team, again, was very, very strategic with that. One thing that I find interesting is that Alan Rickman, who played Severus Snape, he sat down with J.K. Rowling during the filming of the first movie, and he was like, how does Snape's storyline end? I don't even think she had written the fact that he was a double agent yet, although she knew, but it wasn't on pen and paper and it wasn't published. And so Alan Rickman was like, hey, as an actor, I sort of need to know my character's motivations. And so you can see that the stories weren't finished as these movies were being created, which has caused some interesting choices within the movies. Specifically, the characterization of Flitwick, where in the first movie, he is presented as this older man with this like fuzzy gray hair. And then in all of the other movies, he's got like this little bob, like this little black bob. Choices were being made along the way. And that's evident in the movies and also in the books. The making of the Harry Potter studios was super cool. I loved it. You see a bunch of the sets. You also get to see... I don't know what that sound was. I know people have reported seeing foxes. I'm scared. Oh, I hate this. So you see the props, you see sets, you see costumes, you see some of the animatronics. Much more of the stuff in Harry Potter that you see is not CGI'd, which I was kind of surprised about. I sort of just assumed that they CGI'd a bunch of stuff. But for example, when Professor Lupin turns into a werewolf at the end of the third movie, that's not a CGI'd creature. That's a man with sort of this very long helmet of a dog's head on top of his head, and he's on the stilts that make you walk like a goat. I hope I have a picture because I'm not describing it well. The hippogriffs aren't CGI'd except for when Harry's flying on it. he's not actually flying on a hippogriffs don't exist. They also have, oh my gosh, what else do they have that's related to my topic? They also have the joke shop that the Weasleys opened. Actually, you can walk along Diagon Alley, which was fantastic. It was awesome. It was a surreal experience. I walked by Ollivanders. Like, I walked by Ollivanders. But the joke shop, so the Weasley twins, they're very comedic, big old pranksters. They leave school early to go open their joke shop, which is honestly a very opportune time within the Wizarding World's storyline because, war happens, and so joke shop to liven everyone's spirits. Harry Potter celebratory performances. People went to all of these midnight showings of these movies because they wanted to. They wanted to be entertained. It was fun. It was magical. Yes, there's some very dark themes in some of the later books and movies, but it was still this wondrous world. There's kids all around the world that are waiting for their Hogwarts letter at 11. I know I was really sad when I didn't get mine when I was 11 years old. I was really, really hoping I was going to get one. The magical world that was created was sort of not the first of its kind because we have seen fantasy far beyond this. We've got Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. So which is honestly associated with Harry Potter very often, and I don't know why. Other than like the huge popularity and the huge fandom around it, I get that, but I'm currently reading Lord of the Rings. They are very different stories. Very different stories. And the authors both pull from different source materials. J.K. Rowling is heavily influenced by like Greek and Roman influences and like Greek mythology. Many of the names like Severus Snape, recently learned Severus was the name of a Roman emperor. Didn't know that. But many of the, many of J.K. Rowling's influences are Greek and Roman. Many of Tolkien's influences were not. They were, a lot were like, I don't even know the term for it, but around Europe, like England, Scotland, Ireland, like Norway, like those sort of regions. Obviously, I understand modern day countries, but like the stories and myths from those regions. Why am I talking about Tolkien? I know why I'm talking about Tolkien, but God, this is going on for too long. When you take Harry Potter, it is and it isn't the first of its kind. A boy wizard goes to magic school and he gets rescued from his really awful life with his aunt and uncle, and it's just this wondrous story of hope and, I mean, obviously heartbreak and tragedy and death and destruction and evil and good and complex emotions that these teenagers go through. But it's technically a kid's book, which many of the later ones definitely should not be kids' books, but I digress. Back to the topic. People read the books to entertain themselves. Boom. People watch the movies to entertain themselves. Boom. People like me are still paying money to go see where the movies were filmed and to look at the sets and all of that. Boom. The fandom itself is wide and always growing. LeakyCon was a huge Harry Potter convention that people still go to, similar to Comic-Con, but just for Harry Potter. I mean, the whole Harry Potter fan fiction era in and of itself could have a whole chapter in any book. Like it could be a whole book. People literally write books on the internet based on Harry Potter. So I'm sort of speechless thinking about the immenseness of what this fandom has created. That is what I want to commend. I want to commend the fandom and the fans for creating this. The LeakyCon is a whole fan-created thing. Like, the fans created LeakyCon. And the fans continue to keep this story alive. This got weirdly emotional, but I am so deeply attached to this story. When I was 8 years old, my mom read the Harry Potter books out loud to me, and it took us a year to read all 7 of them. Little 8-year-old me was very affected by these stories, and I love Harry Potter. I genuinely do, and it means a whole lot to me, and it has entertained me. Boom, it has entertained me for many, many years. All of my Harry Potter books have so many cracks in their spines. My 4th Harry Potter book split in half, and then I threw that out and had to buy a new edition of it, and now that edition doesn't match all of my other editions, and yes, it does bug me. I hope I can use this footage, because, again, I could sit here and talk for hours about Harry Potter and its entertainment quality and, like, how it heightened the literary world and the cause and effect of Harry Potter in books and the fantasy genre itself. I could talk about that for a while. I won't. Because, one, I don't think anyone wants to hear that. I'd love to talk about it. I don't know if anyone wants to hear that. But I hope what I have just said fills the requirements for my history portion. It's getting really late. I'm going to edit this, and it might be garbage, and it might just be filled with subtitles. Hi, editing me. Sorry if this was bad. Bye!
This is
like, here's the bank. Context. There it is. There it is. Tower Bridge, not London Bridge. London Bridge is actually ugly, according to all of my tour guides.
And then it went down. And then it went up again.
And then it went back down. Dessert, everyone, now.